Hello, so happy to be here. Another London Calling under the belt. The aim of this session is to clarify what is all this hype of Agile actually about. So we have little time, so I want to have a conversation with you. Grab screenshots and don't get distracted with notifications because you are going to get the most value being present. Now, first, I want to thank the sponsors to make this happen. It's thanks to them that the community events can happen. So please make sure you check out their solutions throughout the day. Now, I want to say hola. I'm Ines Garcia. I'm an Agile coach and a Salesforce MVP. I have 13 certifications, and I've been doing this work since 2013. I advocate for the community and Salesforce and Agile. I get involved in trillion things, as you can see, because we live only once, and I'm always inventing things. I love games, and some of you know that. And a couple of years ago, I invented a game for teams, mixing, my passion and for what I do and for the games. And one of my latest adventures is, to publish a book at the end of last year. Who will have thought? And of course, it's about Salesforce and Agile, which is packed with real life stories of teams that I work with, because I'm on a quest to demystify what is this Agile hype about, bring it down to earth to its core, make it easy to understand and tangible so that the community can see their daily work with this lens. And that's for admins and consultants and project managers, developers, architects, for humans that want to deliver value in a more thriving and interesting and less painful in the Salesforce world. So that's the quest. Let's go. Now, for the last year, I've been asking this to teams and into sessions. So out of these 4 images, which one describes best how you feel about Agile? And those are the figures that came out. So a lot of curious, uncertain, still, even that Agile has been around for more than 20 years, some happy people, some not so happy about people, right? So which one describes the best for you? And let's say how you feel at the end of the session. It's all about delivering enhancements in our current landscape, and that can sometimes be lengthy and painful and complex. So we are going to look what Agile really is, because it's often misunderstood. And when and how Agile could help us. Over my years in the Salesforce world, I still see projects running way too late, over budget, stretched teams, poor quality, and all around unhappy people. So there is a better way. As good philosophers, we should always start with definitions. So if you Google, what Agile as an objective is to move in a quick and easy way. Now, Agile with capital A is an iterative incremental approach, optimizing predictability and controlling risk. Now, I found another description so much better, which is we want to deliver better Salesforce value sooner, so that's safer and happier. So in preparing for this talk, I've asked, what does better value mean to you? In a relatively small data set for it. And better value, what it came with is this kind of word map. What does that mean to you? What is delivering better Salesforce value? How about sooner? We have multiple things here: time, yesterday, speed, realistic, and automation, timely. And safer. Let's not forget about delivering in a safer manner, right? So security, trust, compliance, protection. Safer may mean, do it at any time of the week. Doesn't matter when you are deploying. And happier, something which I'm really passionate about, and we just don't speak enough about this. And the words that came out from fetching some information on what does delivering better value in a happier manner. So you have satisfaction, is it fun, you know, all of different things, the aim of your users. And I would argue that, you know, happiness needs to happen from within. So one way to depict this better value sooner, safer, and happier could be this way. So let's think about a project to deliver the ability to go from A to B. And going A to B can be process cancellations, refunds, whatever it is, right? So in more traditional projects, you are looking at it in this top way of the picture, where you can only go from A to B once the project is 100% complete. You can see the customer face throughout. Instead, what we want to do is to approach the projects in more like the bottom section, where you are able to go from A to B throughout, right? And you have this iteration and incremental approach to whatever thing that you are building. And here I just want to give you a story. So from an example, one of the first persons I met in London 14 years ago, actually a few years ago, was working for a small NGO in London. They had 7 staff, mostly volunteering. And it was the lifetime work of the CEO, who built connections and fundraising all her life to transform forgotten places into community gardens. So all information was in her hand. Now, one day, she got diagnosed with brain cancer. So we had to move quick. And in terms of nonprofit, we had the ability to ask Salesforce to give us 10 licenses, and they had the NPSP, the Nonprofit Success Pack, which some of you may be aware of. And this thing has grown a lot over the years. So to go live and use, you know, quick, we started small. So within a few days, you know, at least that information and that lifetime service could be captured and continue as her legacy. So really that idea of minimum viable product, minimum marketable feature, you know, and reduce waste, reduce deviation. So with Trailblazers here, starting with definitions, what is a Trailblazer? Well, a Trailblazer is a person who is first to do something, an innovator, or makes a new track through wild country. So is a Trailblazer finds where there is no path and leaves a trail. So how can we do that? And I saw this tweet the other day, so let me add it. How can we do this in, well, the age of distraction? This is a tweet from Tiffany Baba, which is growth evangelist at Salesforce. And just look at it for a second, right? This is at individual level, but scale it on teams, on a team, and then think about it on multi-teams. How about the departments, supplier chain? What does this age of distraction means? And it happens. It happens because we have this inertia that takes over and send us in a spiral of self-destruction, and we need to be cleverer than that. And the time of flow, which I speak in my book, for example, is something that you can look and can help you to accomplish that. So start with why. Why do we care to do things differently, right? Why all this agile stuff about? So let me give you some figures. Salesforce themselves in 2006, they moved their engineering teams into a more agile way to tackle things. And with that move, they increased in productivity by 38%, and the major releases that we love were completed 60% faster. These are really big numbers. And I give you more numbers from Chaos report, basically tell us, you know, increased success rates for projects. And as more complex something it is, the most you get out of it. And further research from Dr. Rico, so it talks about improvements on cost, schedule, performance, quality, satisfaction, and so on and so on. So numbers speaks for themselves. Now, teams can go fast, real fast, but if the rest of the organization doesn't keep up, with the pace, then it kind of defeats the object. So the concept of business agility as a whole is so that you can go to market earlier, speed of market, that helps you to succeed in the market, and satisfaction not only from your customers but from your employees, and the importance, for example, of adaptive leadership there. So why an alternative? An alternative of what? So a century ago, we were more focused on execution rather than innovation. Life was more predictable. We had clear what we were to accomplish and how we're going to do it. We have very defined roles. We define modules, defines practices to execute defined plans, kind of made sense. But now things change more quickly. So we need to inspect and adapt more rapidly and, well, deal with greater uncertainty. I think last year, that's a perfect example. So when we say an alternative of what, one of the methodologies most often used for teams is called waterfall. And that looks kind of like this. So in the lab, you have stuff to do, and then when to do stuff, and you're going through this cascade of events of different phases. So you will go through the requirements phase, write all these things up, wrap it up, get sign off, hand this over to phase 2, where you do this high-level design, more papers, more documentation, wrap it up, blah, blah, blah. And so it goes through a cascade of events in this manner. Now, at this point of time, here at the beginning, is in fact when you are going to know the least that you're ever going to know about the project. So going through this, what's happened is this, again, is stuff to do. So we'll go through the requirement phase, same stuff to do. We'll go through the design phase, same stuff to do. And so, because we rarely have perfect knowledge at the beginning, we are going to find things. So at this point of time, in traditional project management, you kind of have 3 different variables that you can play with. One will be cost. So you could ask, okay, can we have more money, more budget, please, so that we can still deliver on time and on quality? Imagine the responses. Or can we extend the timelines so that we can still deliver within budget and on quality? So what's happened at this point, because you haven't touched the product yet that you are to deliver to market, is that you are stretching to make it towards the end key deliverables such as quality or even the integration phase towards the end. And that causes this bombshell effect. And the name, it tells you a lot. You go to production and explodes. Right. So instead of this, we need to be clever at that. We are trailblazers after all. So we are looking at having a small feedback loops, just like here, throughout. So throughout the project, instead of going through this cascade of events, you are going to have a loop of value where every single one of them, you are going to deliver all these different things. Focus on the value and the impact of the product that you're building, something that can be used in the hands of your users throughout. You get the idea. And we'll look at it more in a minute. So that's high-level concept. Now, just to wrap up the idea of waterfall, what I find quite amusing is that the gentleman that often gets attributed this methodology said at the end of his paper's proceedings, I believe in this concept, but the implementation described above is risky and invites failure. Now tell me why is still waterfall then one of the things more used to deliver projects? I think it's a mystery, we don't know. So methodology, but what is a methodology? Now, it's a system of methods using a particular area of study or activity. That doesn't tell us much. Let's go and find out what a method is. And a method is a particular procedure for accomplishing or approaching something, especially a systematic and established one. One would argue the work that we do is not so systematic Now, what I put the avocado here because it reminds me the word of advocate. So what I advocate for is that Agile, in fact, is a mindset. It's an established set of attitudes held by someone, right? It's a mindset of we are not doing Agile, we're being Agile, right? It's a journey. And it promotes a mindset that promotes planning, yes, planning, but adaptive planning. Development, but evolutionary development. Let's be smart in the way that we attack things. Delivery, but early delivery and continuous improvement. And what really encourage is a flexible and rapid response to change. So tiny bit of story. And if you haven't gone to this site, please go, the Agile Manifesto, and have a read where this comes from. What were these people trying to achieve? And 20 years ago, just a few weeks ago, people that they were doing things differently, yes, in the software world, they came together, left discrepancies aside, and worked through what they had in common. And you had representatives there from extreme programming and Scrum, Crystal, feature-driven development, and so on. And yes, it comes from software, but you can apply this mindset to everything you want. I've done work with a PMO team, and yes, a project management office team can also be more agile, or with a roofing company. And yes, they do go to site, they take some tiles out and they find bugs, and they need to do investigation to find what is the best way to tackle something. So also, I saw this the other day, so I'm going to show it to you. So we have the Agile Manifesto. If you go to that site, you're going to get prompted with these 4 values, the 4 values of the manifesto. But what unfortunately actually happens is this version of it, where, we value individuals' interactions over processes and tools. And we have mandatory processes and tools to control how the individuals, interact. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Well, as long that software is very documented, or about the collaboration within the boundaries of strict contracts, of course, and rigorous change control. And about responding to change, provide a detailed plan in place and is followed precisely, right? So that's what often happens. The thing sounds nice in theory, but we, enterprise company or startup or whatever industry, there is no way that we are letting go the items on the right. So I also wanted to show you this, and this is, I find, quite interesting site. Since 2014, they have been collecting the system landscape only MarTech related, so marketing technology related. And the landscape of technology, you can see that is growing exponentially and is going to continue to do so, in my opinion. So now scale this to all the different things that we do in our daily lives. It's not only MarTech related. So we did say that things change quickly. Just in the last 18 months, the roller coaster that has affected our world, and how many months and months of projects are right now in limbo or have gone to the bin or not used. It's just mad. And all that time and effort and funds. So more than ever, we can make a difference. In fact, we need to keep going because of the work that we do right now makes a big difference. Keeping in mind that mindset when we are approaching a challenge. So Agile has set 4 values, 12 principles, and we just don't have time to go through all of this in detail, but you can grab this link if you want. It's a free course where I take you through all of that and, the Agile onion, which is what you can see now in the screen. And it also covers cycles, for example. with the Scrum framework in detail, where we are talking about having feedback loops to deliver that value throughout. And that cycle, it could kind of look like this, right? This can be a visual representation of a cycle. And the cycles and constant feedback loops, what allows you to do is, well, it allows you to go to market earlier. So you can start trading income value earlier. You're going to get feedback earlier. So you can learn what's really wanted, what works. And with that, inform the next step rather than guessing game. So reduce waste. And just to bring it back to the example with the NGO, with my friend, we may have been able to go live within a few days. Household organizations, relationships within the individual's affiliations in between the organization. And then next spring, next week, we added some donation and income management. And then after that, we added a very basic volunteering, as that was kind of the backbone of their operations. So delivering value throughout. So whatever happens, there is value in use and the hands of your users. So you may have heard in the terms of cycle, the word of a sprint, and that's used like a time box. Right? So, and the value of time boxes is there to reduce uncertainty and increase agreement. Every cycle, it gives you the opportunity to respond to new elements and new information. You can deploy viable value into the market. You can learn from that value, adjust your approach based on feedback, and just stop wasting time on ineffective efforts. So that gives you a wider wiggle room for experiment and innovate faster. So I just wanted to show you, okay, so the theory makes sense, hopefully, to now. How tangibly you know where you are right now? No? So I'm giving you 4 metrics. So we hear about this idea of continuous delivery and detailed capabilities if you want to embed on your foundations of development. After all, today, the competitive advantage is based in 2 things. One is that you are faster to go to market, especially in an ever-changing environment. And then second is relentless experimentation. So the ability to test quick business ideas to inform if you are going to persevere or if you are going to pivot. So here is your homework or your work, because don't do this in your free time. It's called free for a reason. First is go and work out with your team. What is your lead time? So lead time is composed by all the time that had passed since a task, a piece of work to increase value is created, and then the work itself is starting all the way for it to be completed, meaning in production and in use. So the part of work started to work completed is called cycle time, which is also useful to measure, and reducing it helps to achieve faster flow. But lead time is wider than just cycle time. It's not the whole picture. So focus on reduce lead time, at least to start measure, so you know where you are. And you can create reports and aggregates so you can see it. Yeah? Measure what counts. Second will be find out your deployment frequency. So that's your second measure, how often you send things to production. Similarly, create reports where you see over time where you stand, work with your team and answer the question of how can we increase deployment frequency? And just experiment. Few options, learn from it, inform your next steps. And remember, deliver things that are in hands of users and are being used is what brings value. Having things in progress does not. Measure change fail. So look at it as a percentage. So from all the deployment frequency, out of those sent into production, for every single one, map its outcome. Is it a pass or fail? It can be almost when perfect. Is it a pass or fail? So work with your teams to spot the reasons And what can be done to ease the pain. It's a constant pursuit of perfection rather than a destination. Once you're continuously delivering value, it can only get better. You have that tension of the lead time and the deployment frequency as well. And then the very last thing for you to get started measuring these things is time to restore. And measure this in minutes. Out of all the change failures, how long did it take to get back up and running and performing? So create a dashboard, look at these metrics and see how it performs over time. You do not need fancy magic tooling, nor an external god to come and save you. You can do today, you can measure these things today and polish each one to become better at what you do. Last thoughts. So all of this, basically what it does is giving you a more competitive advantage that no other manner can give you at this rate. So have that vision and fine tune along the way. It's just like a journey in a map. It's important that you look at how you slice the work so that it can be consumed bite-sized with a tangible, usable value every single cycle, so that you start delivering better Salesforce value sooner, safer, and happier. And just, experiment, try things, do it as a collective. Remember, the goal is not to be agile. The goal is to improve. And with that, thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to speak to you throughout the day.